Welcome back to another edition of the KDLT Sports Extra Points video blog. I'm weekend sports anchor Zach Borg. This is sports director and calling all sports host Mark Ovenden. We're not expecting to talk SDSU and USD last week when I was thinking ahead to this week for this blog. Games pretty much went as we expected. SDSU was competitive with Missouri, lost 38-18. They were within 3 in the third quarter. USD really had no match for Oregon, but then again, there are a lot of teams that are going to say that this year at all levels. The narrative for each team's season, though, might have changed pretty significantly. Austin Sumner in the Missouri game on a non-contact play tripped, broke 3 bones in his foot. He's going to be out 6 to 8 weeks. A couple hours later, Kevin Earl hits his thumb on a helmet as he's throwing. He breaks that. He's out 6 to 7 weeks. Fluky injuries that could have happened in any game. I mean, this wasn't just a matter of them playing some blue-chip guy who broke him in half, but we've both been fans of teams that have had quarterbacks go out, and worked all right for Tom Brady and your Patriots once upon a time, but this is devastating for the fans and a tough blow for both these teams.
Worked okay for the Patriots, but they didn't make the playoffs that year. They finished 11-5 with Matt Castle as their
I was actually referring to the year Bledsoe got hurt and then Brady came.
I was talking about when Brady got hurt.
There's a good example, too, yeah.
They did fairly well, but, these are pretty big injuries. When I was in high school, we had a guy by the name of Harry Rose who turned out to be the only quarterback recruited by Boston College, and they were a quarterback factory for NFL quarterbacks, and Harry was passing, and the guy went up and hyperextended the fingers on his hand, and he missed 5 or 6 weeks, and he was supposed to be like the best quarterback in the state. Guy that took his place threw 7 touchdown passes in the first game. So, and then you never know. You just never know when a door will open for a backup quarterback. It'd be easy to sit here and say, well, both their seasons are done because of this. But State in particular has Schneider and Zach Zenner and Cam Jones.
And the freshman, I think it's Winandi, had like 6 catches and 100 yards too. So
yeah.
They got weapons. You're right, they got weapons galore.
Yeah. Winandi had a good game, and it seemed to me that the quarterback that came in was pretty cool under pressure. So, we'll see. A lot of time, the proof is not in how he did against Missouri, which he did well. The proof is now that a week later, when he knows he's the starter,
and the other team knows it too.
Right. That's when we find out how good he is.
Yeah, I agree with you there. I think State's a little better positioned. If this had been Zach Zenner, that would have been maybe even more catastrophic.
I would say easily that would have been more catastrophic.
With USD, it's tough because that position had been so unsettled the last few years, and Kevin Earl comes in last season, really was a great presence for them. They've got good running game, and they've got good weapons, but that to me is where it seems more devastating for them in particular to lose him.
I agree. I think it's a bigger loss for USD than it is for South Dakota State. Luckily, like you said, they've got good team speed. They've got several good running backs, and a couple of them look pretty good against Oregon. But I don't want to gauge what their season's going to be like on that. It was Oregon, for heaven's sakes, and you just got the feeling they were sort of toying with them.
It was a shame, though, because when Kevin Earl was in, they were moving the ball in a couple times. They got a couple of field goals, a couple drives stalled. Again, you can't really judge, but the offense was really looking like it was going to be pretty good when it got back down to this level. Good game for them to break Ryan Sager in, who's a sophomore. They'll play William Penn in their home opener at 2 o'clock at the Dome on Saturday. SDSU and Zach Lujan play Cal Poly at 6 o'clock. Much tougher challenge there. We'll have highlights from both those games. Looking back on the high school week, not going to go week by week and analyze every single team when we do these blogs. So what was the performance that most stood out to you of all the games we had on week 1?
I'd say there were 2. I'll go with Canastota blowing out Hanson in Alexandria 50-0. That really surprised me because I thought Hanson was going to be a pretty good team this year, and they always are, and they may very well be. I can remember one year not too terribly long ago that they got blown out, I think, by Avon at the beginning of the year, and they came back and beat them in the playoffs. So, but Canastota looked really, really good. 50-0. The other was the Lincoln Patriots, a team that won the 11 AAA crown for the first time ever last year, in the first year of the 11 AAA existence. But they lost almost that entire team to graduation. Isaiah Roach did, however, quarterback the championship game out of necessity. It was an emergency situation, and he settled down after a jittery start and played really well, and he looked great last Friday night against
Run of the year.
Central. Yeah, I mean, that was a great run. Yeah, it was a great run. And you could say, well, it was only Rapid City Central. They were considered to be a good team coming out. I think they were considered to be the team out of West River that was going to be the strongest. And 63-7 really was not even truly an indication of the game. They won it by more than that.
I'll go with another team for me that, like Lincoln, graduated a ton. Madison at Del Rapids.
Yeah.
That I got there and it was 12-0. They missed a couple extra points and 2-point conversions, but Del Rapids is up 12-0, and it's looking pretty bleak. You can already kind of hear some chatter. It's, well, Del Rapids is back, and they still look like they're going to be a pretty good team. But they graduated so much with Giles and Millen and Nordling, and that class that won so many different titles at different levels. They won at basketball, baseball, and they were one win away at football. Their quarterback was very impressive. He's a big boy, and he's going to run for a lot of yards. So Madison is definitely going to still be a contender to get down to the Dome, and West Central was impressive too. As we move on to this week,
how about Central Lyon beating West Lyon?
Oh my goodness, that was a good
pretty
one.
handily too. But yeah, you're right. That Madison game really surprised me. I thought Del Rapids would win by 2-3 touchdowns, and they kept battling back too. I mean, it was a back and forth game. What's 36-33 was the final. So, but Central Lyon, it's been a while since they beat West Lyon. And
49-14.
yeah, they didn't just beat them. They spanked them in the Beef Bowl. Yep.
Pete Minage looked really good too, their quarterback. So that could be maybe a bit of a changing of the guard. And we talked about this last week when we were previewing our Football Friday. We weren't at full strength because Paul Heinert and Max Jensen were gone. They've decided that vacation was boring, so they're going to be back with us this week. We're at full strength. And in a way, the whole region is in full strength because all the NSIC teams and all the NAIA schools start up this week as well. Looking at the NSIC, last year you had Augie winning 4 games. I believe Northern had 3. Sioux Falls had 6. Southwest made the Mineral Water Bowl. We're not going to talk about what happened when they got there and gave up 90 points. But they won 7 games. They've got Tyler Tondrum.
An All-American.
All-American. He's kind of the Zach Zenner of Division II right now.
Yep.
What do you think's the outlook? What's the outlook for these NSIC teams as they come into the season?
I don't know. I really don't know. I mean, I think all but a couple of the teams in the entire league last year fit in that between 4 and 7 wins.
Right.
So Northern opens up at home against Winona State. I really like what Tom Dosh has done there. I'm excited to see how the Wolves do in their home opener. That's a tough team to have to play in your home opener, but it's good that they're playing them at home, and they've had a lot of time to prepare for it. Right. So I'm kind of intrigued by that. Tondrum gives Southwest Minnesota State a weapon that no other team has in the league, and you can ride somebody like that a long way. Look at what State has done with Zenner. So I guess maybe those are the 2 teams that intrigue me the most. But Jed Stugart's been a great coach in his time at USF. I think they'll be a lot better this year. And in this, the second year under Coach Jerry Olszewski at Augustana, they're going to be better too, because it takes, seldom do you come into a program and in the first year, it's pretty rare that you succeed, especially unless you inherit a team that was great and all you got to do is just keep steering the ship the same direction.
I thought they gained an identity last year because they had the 4th best defense, did Augie, in the NSIC. Unfortunately, it was their offense that struggled for most of the season, hence why they won 4 wins. And then you go a couple blocks away, or across town, I guess, since they played Bob Young. But USF had plenty of offense, no defense. Now they've got a new defensive coordinator. So I think Augie will make a pretty good jump this year. I could see them getting this maybe 6 wins, something like that. But I don't know what those schools are going to do because it's tough to break into that upper half that has Duluth and St. Cloud, Mankato.
Yeah, it is, and that's why I say I just don't know. I mean, there's potential growth for all four of our teams that are in our coverage area in the NSIC, and I think that's what makes it exciting. So we'll see. I mean, look what the Minnesota Vikings have done here in the exhibition. I know it's just exhibition, and I've tried to downplay it to all my Viking fan friends, but when you go 4-0 and you do some good things, and you do good things with a variety of people, Castle played well enough to be the starter, but Teddy Bridgewater looked good when he was in there. The defense played great, and that was their biggest Achilles heel last year, was their defense was horrible. Who knows? 4-0, winning, even if it's practice games, can lead to a confidence and an attitude that the Vikings haven't had for a little bit now since Brett Favre was there. And that could go a long way toward making them into an instant contender, taking that attitude into the regular season with them. And they play St. Louis right away, a team that no longer has their starting quarterback.
Yeah, that'll be St. Louis, in St. Louis on Sunday. Full weekend of sports. Got a full crew on Friday night. Feels kind of good to be back at full strength.
Yeah, I was kind of bummed that we weren't all here last Friday, but I'll tell you what, Adam Huntemer wore his Superman cape last Friday night, and I think he ended up getting to, I think he got to 4 different games because he went to Ethan in the afternoon. He shot his 2 that he was supposed to shoot Friday night. I was supposed to shoot the Roosevelt game against Brandon Valley, and I was psyched because that was the best game of the night. Turned out to be it was a weird game. Roosevelt took a 42-13 lead in the first half and barely hung on to win the game, 42-34. Alex Wilde had a state record 17 catches and almost 300 yards and scored 4 touchdowns. And Brandon Valley had a chance to tie it at the end and couldn't quite pull it out. It was a pretty exciting game, picked off in the end zone. But Adam went out when the game restarted or started for the first time at 9:30, and I had to be back here because I was anchoring the show and typing in scores and stuff. He raced out and got a couple of touchdowns and raced back, and we got those on the air.
I got to give it up to our part-time guy, Sam, too, who was there almost till 1 a.m. because, again, the game started so late. And, of course, when you have nearly 80 combined points, they were up past midnight. So everybody enjoy another great week of football, sports action. Let's just hope there's a little less rain this time around and lightning. So for Mark Ovenden, I'm Zach Borg. Have a great week.